Context. Title: The Landowner's Lesson. Genre: drama. Class: conflict. Story: foundation. Real-life inspiration. Based on a 2018 incident in Marrakesh, Morocco, where a construction magnate unknowingly built his mansion on land owned by a humble vegetable vendor. The vendor, inheriting the property through oral tradition, legally reclaimed it after decades of silence, exposing systemic corruption in land registration. Setting: a sprawling villa in Marrakesh's outskirts, surrounded by arid farmland. The contrast between the opulent villa and the dusty market stalls underscores the class divide. Core conflict: a wealthy builder's arrogance clashes with a silent landowner's hidden truth, escalating to a life-altering reckoning. Cinematic inspiration and analysis. Primary influence: Parasite 2019, class conflict, deception, and the illusion of upward mobility. Thematic parallels: lie versus truth. The villa owner believes wealth justifies entitlement. The vendor's quiet dignity reveals the rot beneath societal hierarchies. Symbolism: the villa's cracked foundation mirrors the owner's crumbling morality. The vendor's weathered truck symbolizes resilience. Emotional arc: arrogance, humiliation, desperation, reckoning. Story foundation. Logline: when a wealthy builder mocks a vegetable vendor for parking near his villa, he discovers too late that the land belongs to the vendor, and survival demands swallowing pride to rebuild their lives together. External layer 1. Plot: inciting incident. Adam the builder kicks Ali the vendor's truck off his property, damaging it. Conflict stakes: Ali reveals ownership via an ancestral deed. Adam must dismantle his villa in 24 hours or face eviction. Climax: Adam begs for mercy. Ali offers partnership but demands the villa be torn down. 2. Chekhov's gun. Object: a rusted nail embedded in the villa's cornerstone. Foreshadowing: Adam dismisses it as cheap labor work. Payoff: the nail's corrosion weakens the foundation, forcing demolition. 3. Iconic moments: Adam kneels in the dust, clutching the vendor's deed. A villa's collapse, filmed in slow motion, symbolizing the fall of arrogance. 4. World-building setting: Marrakesh's informal markets versus gated luxury communities. Authenticity: use of realistic labor disputes and oral inheritance traditions. Characters: 1. Protagonist builder Adam. Archetype: the deluded self-made man, built wealth through exploitative contracts, masking insecurity with dominance. Wound: abandoned by his father, he equates material success with self-worth. Goal: salvage his reputation and villa. Arc: pride, desperation, humility. 2. Antagonist vendor Ali. Archetype: the silent heir, inherits land through oral tradition, weaponizing patience. Wound: watched his father die, defending their property rights. Goal: reclaim dignity by forcing the builder to acknowledge his theft. Arc: resentment, strategic mercy. 3. Close relationship builder's son role: teenager who idolizes his father until witnessing his cruelty. Impact: his disillusionment pushes the builder to seek redemption. 4. Supporting cast: corrupt notary sold the land fraudulently, later arrested. Market elder provides the vendor legal advice, embodying communal justice. Locations and objects: key locations: villa, opulent but structurally flawed, reflecting the builder's hollow life. Market stall, cluttered but vibrant, symbolizing grassroots resilience. Objects: deed scroll, frayed and handwritten, representing generational memory. Demolition hammer, used by the builder to destroy his own villa, a metaphor for self-destruction. Plot and stakes: structure, using this happens but and therefore. 1. This happens: Adam kicks Ali's truck off his land, but Ali produces a deed proving ownership. Therefore, Adam must demolish his villa in 24 hours. 2. This happens: Adam bribes officials to nullify the deed, but Ali leaks evidence of the bribe to authorities. Therefore, Adam faces arrest unless he complies. 3. This happens: Adam begins demolishing the villa, but his son refuses to help, ashamed of his father. Therefore, Adam begs the vendor for partnership. 4. This happens: Ali agrees to spare the villa, but only if Adam works alongside him to rebuild it ethically. Therefore, Adam trades privilege for redemption. Setting: time pressure, 24-hour deadline for demolition. Confined location: the villa's courtyard, where all key confrontations occur. High impact outline, emotional beats. 1. The humiliation: Adam spits on Ali's deed, tearing it. 2. The arrest: police cuff Adam mid-demolition, son watching silently. 3. The collapse: villa's foundation cracks during a sandstorm, trapping Adam. 4. The rescue: Ali pulls him out, muttering, "We're even now." Iconic moments: sandstorm symbolism, nature erasing man-made hierarchies. Shared labor builder and vendor hauling bricks side by side, hands blistered. Enhancements: 1. Social commentary explores colonial-era land theft in North Africa. 2. Human nature shows how power corrupts even self-made men. 3. Symbolism. The nail equals inherited sin. The sandstorm equals divine justice. 4. Grounded reality. No melodrama. Focus on bureaucratic corruption and oral history. Your land's cursed, the builder shouted, kicking the vendor's parked truck near the grand iron gates. Dust flew up from the tires. A crate of onions tumbled out of the truck bed, scattering across the paved driveway. The builder watched the onions roll, the smirk on his face. Curses don't die, the vendor replied softly, stepping out of the truck cab. He wore a simple, worn shirt and trousers. He walked slowly towards the scattered onions, his movements deliberate. He bent down and began picking them up one by one, placing them back in the crate before continuing. If you've ever felt powerless against someone richer or crueler, hit like and subscribe. This story isn't about revenge. It's about what happens when the ground beneath your feet remembers the truth. The builder laughed, a harsh barking sound. Look at this mess. You think you can park this rust bucket here? This is my property, my villa. Get this junk off my land before I have it towed. He gestured wildly at the sprawling mansion behind him, its white walls gleaming in the sun. The vendor finished gathering the onions. He stood up straight, holding the crate. He looked at the builder, his eyes calm. This land is not yours, the vendor said. His voice was quiet, but carried a strange weight. The builder stopped laughing. He walked closer to the vendor, his expensive shoes crunching on the gravel. What did you say? Are you deaf? I own this land, every inch of it. I built this villa with my own hands, my own money. He puffed out his chest. The vendor reached into his worn jacket pocket. He pulled out a rolled up piece of paper tied with a thin string. It looked old and brittle. This land belonged to my father, the vendor said. He held out the paper, and to his father. Before him, the builder snatched the paper. He untied the string with impatient fingers. He unrolled the scroll. His eyes scanned the handwritten text. His face, moments ago red with anger, turned pale. His hand trembled slightly as he held the document. This is just old paper, the builder stammered. He looked at the vendor, then back at the scroll. It means nothing. I have deeds, official papers, signed and stamped. A man in a suit, the builder's lawyer, emerged from the villa. He walked quickly towards them. What is it? The lawyer asked the builder. The builder shoved the scroll into his lawyer's hand. He says he owns the land. The lawyer took the scroll. He unrolled it carefully. He read the text, his brow furrowed. He read it again. He looked up at the vendor. He looked at the builder. His face was grim. Sir, the lawyer said to the builder, his voice low, this appears to be a legitimate ancestral deed. Legitimate? The builder roared. He snatched the scroll back and ripped it in half, then in quarters. He threw the pieces into the air. Trash. It's trash. Just like you, he pointed a trembling finger at the vendor. The vendor watched the pieces of paper flutter to the ground. He reached into his other pocket and pulled out another rolled scroll, identical to the first. I keep copies, the vendor said simply. The builder stared at the second scroll in the vendor's hand. His jaw dropped. He looked at the scattered pieces of the first deed on the ground. He looked at his lawyer, who was shaking his head slowly. What does this mean? The builder demanded of his lawyer. The lawyer adjusted his tie. It means, sir, that according to this document, which appears valid, Mr. Dot. He looked at the vendor. Ali, the vendor said. Mr. Ali, the lawyer continued, is the rightful owner of this land. The land your villa is built on. The builder stumbled back a step. No, that's impossible. The notary, the land office. They sold it to me. It's mine. There seems to have been a grave error, the lawyer said, his voice flat. This deed predates your purchase. It was never legally transferred from this family. So what? The builder shouted. It's an old paper. I have a villa here. My home. You can't just take someone's home. Mr. Ali has filed a legal claim, the lawyer said. With this deed, his claim is strong. The court has issued an order. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket. You have 24 hours to vacate the property or demolish the structure. The builder snatched the court order. He read it quickly, his eyes wide with disbelief and rage. Demolish my villa in 24 hours? He crumpled the paper in his fist. This is madness. I'll fight this. I'll call the police. I'll call the governor. The order is from the court, sir, the lawyer said. The police will enforce it. The builder looked at the vendor, who stood quietly, holding the crate of onions. There was no triumph on the vendor's face, only a deep, weary sadness. "You, boy, you did this?" the builder whispered. "You waited?" "My father waited," the vendor said. "His father waited. His father waited. Now it is my turn." The builder turned away, pacing back and forth, running his hands through his hair. His son, a teenager, walked out of the villa holding a phone. He had been filming the whole exchange. He stopped short when he saw his father's face. "Dad, what's happening?" the son asked. "Nothing," the builder snapped. "Get inside." The son looked at the vendor, then at the scattered pieces of the deed, then at the court order in his father's hand. He lowered his phone slowly. The next morning, a small crew of workers arrived at the villa gates. They carried sledgehammers and crowbars. The builder met them, his face drawn and pale. "Start with the walls," the builder ordered, his voice hoarse. Just take it down." The workers looked at each other. The crew leader stepped forward. "Sir, this is a solid structure. It will take days, maybe weeks with this equipment." "You have 24 hours!" the builder yelled. "Just start." The workers began to swing their hammers, chipping away at the villa's walls. The sound echoed across the quiet land. The builder watched, his arms crossed, his eyes fixed on the destruction of his home. His son stood some distance away, still holding his phone, but not filming. He just watched his father. Hours passed. The sun climbed high, beating down on the demolition site. The builder picked up a hammer himself. He swung it wildly at a wall, his movements clumsy and fueled by anger. He hit the wall again and again, sweat pouring down his face. He wasn't just breaking the wall. He seemed to be trying to break something inside himself. He swung the hammer at a marble counter in what was once the kitchen. The counter cracked beneath the polished surface. Etched into the concrete base were faded initials. The builder paused, his hammer held midair. He recognized the initials. They were his father's. He remembered helping his father pour concrete here years ago. Before the land was supposedly sold, he had been just a boy. He hesitated for a moment, looking at the etched initials. His son, who had moved closer, watched him. The builder's hands trembled. Then, with a cry, he brought the hammer down again, smashing the counter completely, shattering the piece with his father's initials. His son flinched. The demolition continued through the afternoon. Dust filled the air. The villa, once a symbol of luxury, was slowly being reduced to rubble. The builder worked alongside the crew, his expensive clothes torn and dirty, his hands raw and blistered. As evening approached, the sky turned a strange orange color. A strong wind began to blow, whipping up dust from the surrounding land. A sandstorm was coming. "We need to stop!" the crew leader shouted over the wind. "It's not safe." The builder ignored him. He was trying to pry a large stone from the villa's foundation. He strained, pulling at a heavy stone. He saw something embedded in the concrete beneath it, a rusted nail. He had seen it before, years ago, when they were building. He had told the foreman it looked like cheap work, leaving a nail exposed. The foreman had just shrugged. The wind howled, growing stronger. Sand lashed against the remaining walls. The structure groaned. The builder pulled harder at the stone. "Dad, get out of there!" his son yelled, running towards him. Suddenly, there was a loud crack. The ground beneath the villa shifted. The remaining walls swayed. The roof began to cave in. The builder was still pulling at the stone when the section of wall above him collapsed. A heavy pillar crashed down, trapping his leg. He cried out in pain. Dust and debris rained down. The sandstorm hit with full force, engulfing the collapsing villa in a thick, swirling cloud. The sounds of breaking stone and splintering wood filled the air. The builder lay trapped, coughing in the dust. The weight on his leg was immense. He could barely breathe. He heard his son calling his name, but the sound was muffled by the storm. "Tell my son," the builder gasped, his voice weak. "I'm sorry." He felt a hand grab his arm. Strong hands were pulling at the debris around him. He saw the vendor's face, grim and determined through the swirling sand. The vendor was working alongside some of his neighbors, digging through the rubble. They managed to free his leg. The builder cried out as the weight lifted. The vendor helped him crawl away from the collapsing structure, shielding his face from the sand with his own scarf. They reached open ground just as the last section of the villa fell with a thunderous roar. The sandstorm began to subside as quickly as it had come. The villa was gone, reduced to a pile of rubble and dust. The builder lay on the ground, bruised and bleeding, staring at the ruins of his home. His son ran to his side, kneeling beside him. "Dad, Dad, are you okay? The son asked, his voice trembling. The builder just nodded, coughing. The vendor stood over him, holding a shovel. He looked at the builder, then at a pile of rubble, then at the son. His face was unreadable. Before continuing, with everything on the line, what choice would you make? Answer in the comments. The vendor extended the shovel towards the builder. Stand up, the vendor said. His voice was calm, firm. Your son's watching. The builder looked at the shovel, then at the vendor's face. He looked at his son, whose eyes were fixed on him. Slowly, painfully, he reached out and took the shovel. He pushed himself up, leaning heavily on the tool. It's all gone, the builder whispered, looking at the rubble. Yes, the vendor said. Now we build. The builder looked at him, confused. Build what? There's nothing left. We build something else, the vendor said. Something that belongs here. He gestured towards the open land, the fertile soil beneath the dust. Something that feeds people, not just houses one man. He looked at the builder directly. I could have taken everything. The land, compensation for the years. But that would just be taking, like you took. He paused. My father taught me that land gives, it doesn't take. We will build a market here, a place for everyone. The builder stared at him. A market? Here? Here? Yes, the vendor said. And you will help build it with your hands. You will work alongside us. You will learn what it means to build something that lasts, something that gives back. He looked at the builder's son. He can help too. The son looked from the vendor to his father, his eyes wide. The builder looked at his raw, blistered hands, then at a shovel he held. He looked at the vendor's calm face. He looked at his son, whose gaze held a flicker of something he hadn't seen in days. Maybe hope, maybe respect. I don't know how to build a market, the builder said, his voice quiet. You know how to build, the vendor replied. Now you will learn why we build. He turned and walked towards where his truck was parked, still slightly damaged. We started on. The builder stood alone in the ruins of his villa, the shovel in his hand. His son walked over and stood beside him, looking out at the land. Days turned into weeks. The builder worked. He mixed mortar, hauled bricks, laid foundations. His hands became calloused. His back ached. He worked silently alongside the vendor and his neighbors. He ate simple meals with them, sharing bread and tea. The vendor's wife bandaged his blisters without a word. His son joined them sometimes, hesitantly at first, then with more purpose. He helped carry materials, passing tools to his father and the vendor. He still had his phone, but he used it to take pictures of the work, of the people building together. They built an archway first, marking the entrance to the new market. The builder and the vendor worked on it together, lifting the heavy stones into place. Their shadows merged in the sunset as they finished the final stone. Months later, the market was finished. Simple stalls stood in neat rows. Vendors set up their produce, their goods. It wasn't a grand villa, but it was alive with people, with activity, with the smell of fresh vegetables and spices. At the market's opening day, the builder stood by a tea stall, serving customers. He wore simple clothes like the others. His movements were no longer clumsy. They were steady and purposeful. His son stood beside him, handing cups of tea. He handed a cup to the vendor's son. The two boys exchanged a small smile. The vendor walked over to the builder. You kept one nail from the old villa, the vendor said. Why? The builder reached into his pocket. He pulled out the rusted nail he had found in the foundation. He looked at it for a moment, turning it over in his fingers. To remember, the builder said, his voice low, to remember what collapses when you build on lies. He put the nail back in his pocket. The vendor nodded. He reached out and placed a hand on the builder's shoulder. It was their first touch, not driven by conflict or necessity. Now we both eat from the same soil, the vendor said. The vendor's son tugged the builder's sleeve.